and welcome to another edition of Nifty, Thrifty Dentist Podcast. Man, I'm super excited. I got an awesome guest, the founder of High Performance Practice, Dr. Justin Bhullar. Justin, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Nice to connect with you again, brother.
Yeah, dude. It's like, so it just seems like I talked to you yesterday, right? Like literally I did talk to you yesterday. And so, man, I'm so excited to bring you on because I've been telling everybody that we had this awesome conversation and we just shared so many awesome tips and pearls. I learned from you, you learned from me. And then I said, man, I got to bring you into Nifty Thrifty Dentist because it's like I always want to try to give back. And I feel like when I got all that info from you, I felt like I was holding back. So thank you so much for jumping on, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Man, so here's the thing. So for those of you who do not know who Dr. Justin Bhullar is, man, you're about to learn right now. And you're going to understand why I'm so excited to have him on. So let's start with this, man. Give us your background as far as like your practices and whatnot. And you made a transition. Where are you at right now? So start from let's not relive the 4 years of dental school, man, because that's kind of nightmarish for some people.
Yeah.
But let's do this. How about you jump into basically after you graduated dental school and what'd you do?
Sure. Yeah. So after I graduated, so just like slightly before I graduated, I'm not sure if I told you this, but I ended up really coming up with this checklist of, this is what I'm looking for in my first position. I knew that I wanted to get in with a successful practice owner, not just successful in just the clinical side of things, but somebody who had grown a profitable practice, somebody who understood not only clinical, but the business to run. And I really wanted to join that group, learn as much as possible, and then go on and do my own thing. So long story short, I graduated, I visited, probably about 50 or 60 different practices over my fourth year of dental school, and the summer of my third year. I'd sent out about 1,000 different letters to 1,000 practices in Canada, the US, different parts of the United States. And I got about a 10% response rate approximately. Of those, I started reaching out to them, and maybe another 10% were willing to actually get on the phone with me or allow me to come to their practices. And they were just real givers. They were doing very well, and they were willing to share. And you could say that they were my first mentors in a way from a practice ownership perspective. So the funny thing is, I was all over the place. I was in Boston, I was in California, I was like down in parts of Texas and Austin looking at practices, and I ended up in this area called Red Deer, Alberta. It's in Canada. It's between two big cities, Edmonton and Calgary, smack in the middle of the two. And we had a great opportunity, associate position there. After my second year of practice, I was still an associate between year 2 and year 3.5, let's call it. And I had bought a couple practices that were rural practices remote. So I didn't work there. I was just running the practices.
Wait, hold up 1 second. We were just talking about you being an associate, and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I'm going to own a practice, but you know what? Let's do 2 practices. Am I hearing that correct?
Yeah.
Am I hearing that correct? Because most people are like, okay, I'm going to do a 1 practice. I think I just heard you say, I got a couple of practices in rural areas. And then I just want to make sure that's what you said.
That's exactly what I said. I mean, so I'll give you a little bit more detail there in a sec, but it's like, so I'd got those. I'd learned a lot about management and things, managing practices remotely at 2 years into my, dental career, so to speak. It was a significant challenge. So, thankfully I had later learned, of course, just the fact that, we had great team members there. Of course, things were still profitable. Things worked out pretty good. But at the end of the day, it was a challenge. And we ended up selling that practice for a profit, and then moving on and doing a number of other things. But from that point on, I acquired 3 more practices, did some startups, did more acquisitions, scaled to about 11 practices. And then this is around year 5-ish, 6, maybe year 6, I had decided that we needed to restructure everything. I wasn't enjoying the way I was going about doing this. Other things were suffering, and especially time with my family, in particular, my health overall. I mean, I'm still young and healthy overall, but I don't really like the the 30 pounds I saw in the mirror. So I was like, all right, this has got to change. So long story short, I ended up restructuring those practices, got the right partners. And this is really key is, finding the right people to do business with is objective number one, whether that's your strategic partner, whomever that may be. And I have a whole framework I've designed now from my previous experiences, because I brought on the wrong partners. Yeah. And that's why, we grew and we had all kinds of things going on, but we were working way harder than we needed to be. Yeah. And we can talk a little bit more about that. So fast forward to today, 6 practices. They're being managed. I'm in Florida. They're being managed from, about 2,300 miles away.
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, I want to go back to that because for those who are watching, guys, if you like what you're hearing right now, type in the comments section, high performance. Okay. Type in the comments and show us some love. Let us know that you're here. Type in the comments section. So So first of all, I had to stop you earlier because you went from associate, let's do 2 practices. I did 3 more practices. And then you said something else, which caught my attention when we first started talking. You're like, I'm in Florida now. Just wanted to be closer to the beach. And I felt like it's a good place. You kind of told me how you kind of found the next place for your family to live. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I still have the 6 practices and it's up in Canada. Yeah. Did I hear that right?
That's right, man. That's it. So about 18 months, it's been almost 24 months now, in between the two, I don't know the math on that, but somewhere in between the two. And what we did was we had made a decision. I went to my wife and we were kind of tired of the winters. We were not very big winter sport people, and we just wanted to change up the environment for our family. So we made a decision to move somewhere else. We explored parts of California, all kinds of places, and I won't go down that rabbit hole, but all kinds of different warm destinations. And we chose Florida for a few different reasons that worked out favorably. And of course, when you're doing coaching and consulting for dental practice owners as well, nobody wants to come to a winter spot, right? Everyone's willing to come to Florida to come to your program. So
man, that's so amazing. And I really wanted to start off with that because for those who don't know who you are, you guys are about to learn right now. Justin is probably one of the most giving and generous people out there. And that's the thing. I look for people who are like-minded, who want to give back, because that's what Nifty Thrifty Dentist is all about. And he wanted to come on here and share so many things. And so here's the thing. Number one, guys, he has 6 practices up in Canada. He's running remotely. Okay. He's been through it. He's made the mistakes, right? And that's the biggest thing. Let's start with that because so many coaches, so many consultants out there, so many dentists on social media, they go on there and they're like, hey guys, man, I just closed this $30,000 case, man, look at me, or hey guys, look at this case, or hey guys, look what I produced, and all these things. It's like a highlight reel, man, like Facebook social media, it's like a highlight reel. Look at all these things, okay? But the thing is, when we were talking, Justin, you were like, dude, you're like, Glenn, I made some mistakes. And actually, where we really learned the most is when we shared each other's mistakes. So let's start with that, okay? Sure, let's start with that. Start with, you mentioned it earlier, and I had the same mistake too. We get so single focused on, okay, I want to grow the practice of all these things, and then we forget that we have a life outside of the practice. That's a big learning experience. Talk about that and talk about how people can learn from that mistake.
Well, I think it's pretty simple. So the first thing that you got to do, and we talked about this the other day, Glenn, is that get clear on what it is that you want and why you want it. So first of all, decide if you want to be a practice owner or not. And that's not something you can think your way through, unfortunately. You know what I mean? No different than now practicing dentistry, having practiced dentistry for almost 11 years. Looking back, I've learned a lot, obviously, in the application of something versus just the theoretical or didactic type process, because you're thinking your way through something that really needs you to get your hands dirty, right? In order to understand. So for those folks that are practice owners now and you're not enjoying it and it's just not the right fit for you, well, you know what? Maybe it's time for you to bring on a strategic partner, somebody who wants to wear that hat so you can do more of what you want to do. Maybe it's time for you to bring on a coach or consultant, whomever, to help grow the practice, and then you sell it. Maybe that's what you want to do. I don't know. For those that don't have a practice yet, I would say work with a sophisticated business operator. And when I say business, I mean practice owner who understands how to wear that dental CEO hat and who can go out there and help show you what it's going to take to be able to do more dentistry. Because, we get so hung up on this idea of, hey, you know what? I just want to do good dentistry. I'm not a businessman. I'm not a businesswoman. I'm not a business owner. I want to be a dentist. I just want to do dentistry. And I get that. 100% I can relate to that. But here's the challenge. Doing quality dentistry and doing good dentistry and treating your patients ethically and honestly and like you would your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, that's just step one. I mean, you can have that all day long and, sing that song and shout it from the mountaintops, but nobody's lining up at your door to do dentistry just because you believe that. In fact, I mean, if people didn't believe that, they wouldn't show up in the first place, right? Yeah. No one's going to show up to some dental practice. So that's part one. Sure, do good dentistry. I mean, do that all day long, because if you don't have a good product or a service, the reality is that you won't stay in business very long. But then there's like 95% of the other stuff that's all business related: marketing, leadership, culture development, putting in operational systems, working on versus in your business. And there's so much to that. So I think you should find somebody who's doing very well in that area, learn from them, and don't ask them, hey, how can I get what you have? Ask them what you just asked me. What does it actually take? Like legit, like tell me, what mistakes happened? Am I willing to deal with the stress, the anxiety, and all these sorts of things? And then make a decision for yourself. You might find that just being an associate. I have some associates making very, very good money. Yeah. They just would not want to own simply because it would just bring more burden for them without a lot of increased financial gain. So let's go through some of these mistakes. So step one, clear on why. We know you can figure out whether you want to be an owner or not based on working with a sophisticated business operator. It's a real simple, low risk way of figuring out whether it's the right fit for you, right? You don't got to invest $1 million into a practice or do a $2 or $3 million acquisition and then later find out, hey, I don't want to do this. Okay. So that's the lowest risk way. The second part is mistakes. I mean, I could sit here and list 100 or
but so. You and I, that would be like all day if we just shared our mistakes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down a list of every single failure that's took place, but it's anywhere from poor partnerships to people embezzling, to having poor systems, to me being a crappy leader, to not understanding what culture really meant, me not understanding my strengths versus my weaknesses, getting in my own way, and micromanaging everything. So, there's a ton of different things that can happen because we get so excited about making it work. We just want to do whatever it takes. And typically what it looks like kind of eyes half closed and just like running on a treadmill as fast as you can go, because that's the only way you can get through it. So my suggestion is actually to take a more strategic approach. And that's what I like to help people do now, because it's working for me so well. And like you said, I meet coaches, consultants, and there's no shortage of consultants I meet who will say, we tell our clients to say this or this in a patient consultation. And we just tell them to use this script. And I'm like, oh, let's hear it. What does it sound like? And some of the things that are there, I'm like, dude, you clearly have not said this to a patient before. Like, I can swear to God, you have not done this before.
I'm going to have to stop you there because you brought up something that's so important, right? It's so important because here's the thing. Look, there's a lot of good coaches and consultants out there. There is, right? But man, at a certain point, you got to look at them, see if they have any street cred, right? I'm talking about street cred meaning like, are they still practicing? Yeah. Have they practiced within the last 5 years? Have they been in a practice? Or have they been out of dentistry for like 20 years and they're still using the same techniques, man? Like you really have to ask those questions right there. And another thing too, Justin, you brought up, which is huge, is this, man. Think about when you were decided to go to dental school, right? I mean, people really thought about it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to take the DAT. I'm going to give 4 years of my life, and I don't want to screw up, right? Yeah. I want to be a dentist. 100%. And how many of us, and I'm going to raise my hand right now, how many of us had a classmate or two who like halfway through, they're like, dude, this ain't for me. I'm out of here.
100%.
Right? And you think to yourself, dude, you just wasted like 2 or 3 years of your life and you're out of here. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to ask you the same question here. It goes back to, well, okay, you want to be a dentist. You love being a dentist. But not every dentist can be a practice owner, right? And not every dentist is born with those business skills. That's acquired, okay? You're not born with those skills, okay? You might be born with the, maybe the people skills or the speaking ability, all right? But no one just comes out and say, oh yeah, I know how to run a practice. No, it's learned. So number one, okay, do you want to be a practice owner? Number two, do you want to put the time in? Because Justin, we spoke about that too, man, putting the time in, right? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, you touched on two good points. So let's deconstruct them a little bit. So part one is I want to be really clear about saying that I don't believe that all dentists should be practice owners, not due to a shortage of capability. Okay, I'm not talking about like you don't have the intellect or something like that, because clearly, if you've made it to this point, you're smart. That hands down. Probably 100 times smarter than me. All day long. But here's the thing. There's going to be a new set of skills you have to learn. No different than your clinical skill set, but there's going to be a new set of skills. The way you communicate is going to have to change. Your identity, are you just a dentist or are you a business owner? Your mindset has to change there. You got to learn how to be an effective leader. You got to learn how to develop a culture. Like, what does that mean? What is that even? And, it's these skills that take time to learn. And we only have so much time in a day. So if there's not an interest in learning them, if there's not a desire to actually become what is required of you to be a successful business owner, then it's just not going to happen. Because you're probably you got a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. You got family to take care of. You have your own self, your social life, and then you got this clinical skill set you want to build. I do a lot of IV sedation, wisdom teeth implants, and I only do a couple of days a month now of dentistry, but I do those procedures, and it took me a long time to gain that knowledge. And alongside that, you're learning how to run the business. Well, it took a lot of work, and you have to build that up. So, just to clarify, the reason I say that not everyone should do it or can be successful at it is because, bottom line, straight up, they're not going to be willing to do what it takes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And that's it. It's simple as that. So it's not
there's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with that. It's actually super smart to protect the limited time you have on this planet and just do what you're good at. Like, if you don't want to learn those skills, just go work at a place that's going to help you just crush it by doing great dentistry. You never have to think of a single management decision in your lifetime. And that might be for you. Maybe a strategic partnership's perfect. Maybe you want to be the captain of your own ship. Yeah. If you're that 50%, go, run, sprint, get it done. But I just wanted to share that because I don't want anyone to ever think like, what's this guy talking about? I'm smart, I can do this. Just don't let your ego dictate this. Like, take the emotion out of it and think logically. So that's super important. And anyways, I'm notorious for getting a bit passionate. I have a passion disorder.
No, and that's what I don't have a pill for it though, bro. So. And that's why I wanted to bring you on. That is so awesome, guys. If you like what you're hearing. Because, man, Justin is bringing it today. He's bringing it today. If you like what you hear, type in the comment. I see you guys type in there, high performance, okay? Type in the comments, high performance. And if you have questions, guys, fire away. Type in the comment section. I'm looking. We'll send it to Justin. He'll answer those questions. Any questions you have. So, Justin, let's go back to something here, man.
Yeah.
Let's go back to something here. Okay, so let's start. You work with a lot of different practice owners and different practices, and you're coaching them and whatnot. Let's talk about the problems or the biggest issues, right? Now, you talked about it already, putting the time in. But what are some of the common problems that practice owners have, and how have you helped them get past those problems?
Yeah, so I have a list of about 300 potential issues that can happen in a dental practice business in general. Okay, so I have 300 of these that I've just documented over time and then put into place some sort of flow chart or something that describes the solution that we've implemented to solve that problem. It could be as small as the ordering of office supplies to as big as how to recruit, train, and retain A players in your practice. Okay, because that's complicated, right? So everything from the paper clips to the human beings, and so there's going to be no new problems. So when somebody calls and says this is going on, it's kind of like, yep, I get it. Like, just felt that pain last week. This is what we've already tried. This is what we're trying now. And what I love about it is, see, the laboratory is never someone else's practice. And that's my fundamental issue with a lot of consulting, coaching stuff going on today.
Well, because they're testing stuff out.
Well, testing stuff in your practice, right? And it's just like, nah, I'm not interested. It's no different than a financial planner. We had some meetings with some financial planners recently. They wanted us to invest a significant amount of capital in some funds. Market stuff's happening now. This is the time. I said, no problem at all. I'll give you money. Just show me your net worth statement. Like, show me your bank account. I need to see it. And that's one of my requirements of working with the financial planner. It's like, show me your money. Okay. I won't tell anybody. I'll sign an NDA, but show it to me. And once you've showed it to me and I know you know how to create wealth for yourself, then I will let you take my hard-earned money.
Makes
So
sense.
then please don't call me back. So, and that sounds terrible. I know it sounds horrible.
But it makes sense.
Dude, why would I do that? So if you're a client of ours, I have no problem, somebody signing an NDA and showing them full under the kimono. Here you go. This is what it looks like. I mean, why wouldn't I do that?
I think that's, first of all, that's huge, because I don't think anyone else does that. I am actually pretty sure they don't.
Yeah. So, and I mean, what ends up happening is that the interesting thing is most of our clients, once we start working with them, they don't even ask, because they're like, this is obviously, working. I'll show them I'll offer to show them a P&L. They're like, no, I mean, this is clearly, we're already seeing the results from what's going on. Don't even worry about it. Well, it's here if you want to see it. It's not a problem. Like, I got nothing to hide. Right. So, so anyways, the point I'm trying to make is there's only certain problems that you're going to experience. And the most common ones are things like, I need more new patients, or, the team's really not following through or doing what I want them to do. And then there's questions like, when's the right time to add another hygienist? How do I talk about salary and wage increases? What sort of systems can I put in for my front desk to answer more calls, convert more calls? Treatment presentation is another one. So these are the sorts of things that come up. And when you ask that question, the issue is, Glenn, is that, so we work with a unique set of folks. I have a whole application process. And because this is not, my goal is not to grow some, $50 million coaching and consulting company. In fact, I'm working on my practices. We're continuing to grow those. That is our core fundamental business, and we'll continue to grow that. The coaching, because I've got more time and I really love to help and impact, it was just a natural progression. But I have to, of course, limit. I have to put the brakes on, because I'd say, okay, let's go help 1,000 people. I have to be realistic and say, hey, how can I help people out and actually move the needle forward? So when we select people, we make sure that we can understand their unique set of issues for their practice, and then pick 5 or 10 different things that we can do to get them to their next $250,000 or $500,000 increment in growth. Okay, so that's the goal. If we don't feel like we can help you grow your practice by $250K or more, then I'm just going to say, I'm sorry, it's not the right fit. So
it's because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time.
I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste their time. And we can only take on a very select amount of folks. We're always obviously getting people coming out and then people coming back in because of, they're sort of done in that time frame. So slots open up, but we're not just taking on everyone just to collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really important at the end of the day, because if that's all it was, it wouldn't be very fulfilling. It would actually be quite frustrating for me, because I could go out, and I hate to say this because people say like, but it's true. I mean, I could start another practice right now or acquire another practice, and I know how to do that very, very well. Do the proper demographic study, pick the right patient to population ratio, insurance stuff, all this type of market analysis, go in there, start a practice, form a strategic partnership, and probably in the next 2 years be doing somewhere around a few $1 million. Okay. And then starting to make it profitable. So if you have that skill, it takes a lot of patience to then say, hey, now I'm going to scale back and I'm going to save some time to actually help other people grow. Yeah. So, it's a totally different thing. And it's, in some days you ask yourself, like, maybe I should just be growing more practices versus helping people grow theirs. And I always come back to the same thing. And it's real simple. It's like, no, I just feel good about it. Like, to me, it's like we talked about do what you love versus what you like. I love helping people. Like, I love to teach them. So when we talk about the number one problem, let's say staffing, usually it comes down to my team's not following through, or how do I get the right people on board? How do I motivate them? Et cetera, et cetera. And then we deconstruct those issues and go through. So if you want to dive deep into how to do that, we can. The new patient one's the second one, and we can dive deep into that if you want to.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely do that. But you know what? For those who are watching, like I said, you like what you're hearing, type in the comment section. I see you guys doing a lot of it. High performance, okay? And if you have questions, fire away, okay? We got Justin here, okay? We should ask him a ton of questions. But Justin, before we go into those two things you brought up, I want to bring up something that I think is really important. We both talked about this. In fact, our mutual friends that we have talk about it too. And that is, sometimes dentists, we're so into our practice because look, we're the dentist, we're the practice owner.
Yeah.
Depending on how your practice is, you might be the IT guy, you might be the repairman. Okay, you're the counselor, you're all these things, right? And what ends up happening is when you're the dentist, okay, and then you got to be the practice owner. A lot of times people are working on their practice, like in between their patients, right? In between their patients, or during lunch, or here and there. And Justin, what is your opinion on that when people are trying to be practice owners and literally they're trying to wear all these hats and they're trying to grow their practice kind of in between patients?
You can do it, but it's going to suck. And if something's going to suffer, it's usually patient care or your own health or how many hours you're staying after work to end up, dealing with fires. And it's just a tremendous stress. So I did it that way for 3 or 4 years before. Me too. Yeah. Me too. And it was working, fine. Money was coming in. We were growing, but it just felt terrible. And now, we don't. So look, I'm not saying we don't have problems. We're always going to have problems. There's always something going on. But I have certain systems in place now. And what we do is we manage the system, right? So we manage the system to produce a almost very predictable result in most cases. So when it deviates or we don't get the result we want, we go back to the system, we go back to the person, and we say, hey, this is the result that showed up. This is likely why, let's go back to following the system. And then you're on track again. So if you don't have that going on, you don't have the appropriate operational systems in place, you have nothing to actually manage. You can't because otherwise you're just repeating yourself over and over and talking about the same stuff. And if it's not documented, it's going to be a tremendous challenge for you. And that's really where Dental Business Mentor came in. And I created with my partner, Paul Etchison, stuff where we could train our docs and teams. We'll talk about that later, but having a training system, for example, for folks is important. So you got to take away time to work on your business. Okay. And what I mean by that is that's not my term. I think it might be E-Myth or Michael Gerber that originally said that, working on versus in. And at the end of the day, what he's getting at is, okay, well, if you're in the chair 5 days a week, when are you going to work on the business side to grow your practice? You're not. I mean, you're burnt out.
Either that or you're working 6 day.
100%.
And you're taking time away from family.
Right. So the second part of that is, okay, well, now that we have time, so we're going to help folks reduce the amount of time they're spending in the chair without sacrificing income. Okay, we can help people get to 3 days and or 4 days and have the day or two to work on the business or practice or do whatever you want, really. But ultimately, we do expect that half a day or a day will be spent to focus on that so that you can continue to generate that income and profit. So that's important. And then once you have that focus, you're going to find that you're starting to enjoy the clinical side more too. Mm-hmm. Like I only do a few days, but I like going into them. Even when I was going through this phase of going from 5 days to 4 days to 3 days to 2 days, every time I slowed down, I enjoyed the clinical days even more because for one simple thing, I was going in and doing clinical dentistry. That's it. It wasn't, people weren't running to me and saying, hey, sorry, this happened or that happened, or can we order this, or this sterilizer broke. All those problems are solved by other people now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. Because the thing is that, if you're trying to wear all these hats, right, and you need to work on your business, let's say you're doing marketing, you're doing all these things, you're going to have to find the time somewhere. Okay. Yeah. And if you're working 5 days, you're going to have to find the time. And that's normally on the weekends. Yeah. And if you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else, right? So if you're saying yes to your practice on the weekends, then you're pretty much saying no to your family and friends, right? So you have to balance it out. Now, for those who are watching right now, some people are maybe saying, okay, well, Justin, you know what? Man, that's easy for you, man. You got all these things going on. But me, I got to work the 5 days. I got to grind and whatnot. Yeah. What do you say to that person who says, man, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. But I got to be in the chair 5 days. And I got to squeeze in that, owner's hat somewhere in between. What do you say to them when they say that?
Well, I tell them, maybe you're right. Maybe that's what you do have to do, but you're not going to find out unless you actually go through and see if there's another way. I mean, whatever your story is right now, it's your reality. I'm not going to fight anybody on that. I mean, yeah, you do. You have to do it because you have a certain skill set right now that needs to be improved. You need more information and knowledge and a proper strategy to actually then start talking like, oh, hey, 2 years ago, I was in the chair 5 days a week producing X, Y, and Z. Now I'm there 3-4 days a week producing the same amount, more profitable, more time with my family. These are the types of the stories that you will be now talking about to other folks. And that only happens by actually sitting down, figuring out what you want, coming up with a plan or a massive action plan, and just reverse engineering that result and then working towards that. Like, it's not going to come. I have no magic pill. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can, like I said, I have more than 300 solutions to 300 problems. Okay. Mm-hmm. But those are there. So now when I have a problem in my practice, I don't sit through and say, hey, what should we do? You know, Ray Dalio wrote a great book, Principles, and he talks about just another one of those. He keeps talking about this idea of, well, that's just another one of those. And what he's getting at is that there's really no unique issues, whether it's an interaction with another human being or whether it's a problem in your business. Generally, it's just another one of those. So if you have some sort of solution for one of those, then your life gets easier. You know what I'm saying? And especially if it's one where you can track the results, that's huge. So then all of a sudden you start saying, oh, this is working. You know, you get a dopamine hit from it. You feel better. Things start improving. And, you know, people are going to sit there and say, look, half the people that listen to anything I have to say are going to say, like, whatever, it's not going to work for me. You know, I could care less about what this guy has to say. No problem. You're saving yourself some time there and me some time there. The other half, people are generally kind of skeptical. They've been working hard. They've been doing things, you know, a certain way. And really, they don't buy the story that there's a better way here. But, you know, what's interesting about it is that's totally normal. I mean, you know, it's totally normal to feel that way and to have this idea of like, okay, it's not going to work. I'm sitting in my practice and I have to work 5 days a week. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. But the only way to find out is to actually do an assessment of the practice to figure out whether or not, because some practices I do look at, Glenn, and I'm like, you're right. You have no choice but to really just work 5 days a week. And we tell them that. We say, nope, you're going to work 5 days a week. The only way for you to do this is to potentially bring on a strategic partner. But 8 times out of 10, okay, it's not like that. It's like, oh, wow, okay, there's some room for you to grow here. Here's what it's generally going to take. Are you willing to hear it or actually do it? And if you are, you know, that's the game changer.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that you only know what you know, right? So think about it. Think about whenever you start on anything, right? Yeah. Let's say maybe you're going through dental school and it starts to get really hard and let's say you get into the clinic and you're studying at home and you're in the clinic, you got requirements. And I mean, I'm sure everyone's felt to the point where they're like, man, I don't know if I can get through this, right? But you just do it, right? You still try to do it. And then for those who just say like, hey, I can't do that. Well, just like what you said, how are you going to know unless you actually do it? Which leads to my next question is this, right? Look, no one opens a practice, you included, myself included, no one gets out of dental school and knows everything, right? Mm-hmm. The people who really grow really fast are the ones that are looking for the right mentors, the right coaches. And dentists, man, we have a big problem. And it's called ego, and it's called I try to figure things out on my own. And I told you, Justin, when I was on your podcast, like, man, all my mistakes were from that because I was like, man, I'm just going to figure it out, man. I'm just going to watch what he's doing. I'm just going to figure it out. What ended up happening was I wasted more time, caused more stress, lost more money. And it wasn't until I seeked out mentors, coaches, people with some street cred and actually learned from them. So let's talk about that. Why is that so important? I think
it's huge. So first of all, getting clear on what it is that you're trying to do is super important. Like the late Kobe, right? I don't know if anyone was, you know, a fan of Kobe Bryant. It was obviously a very sad story and traumatic what took place there. But, you know, Kobe in a lot of his interviews would say, look, my growth and progress was pretty simple because I knew that everything I did was to become a better basketball player. Everything. So anywhere I went in the world, whether I was at a playground or, you know, some trip or vacation or, you know, sitting on an airplane, any experience, any conversation that was coming in was filtered through this lens of I'm going to become a better basketball player. So like if your goal is to grow your practice and, you know, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to say, okay, that's what I want to do. I'm going to become a great business operator. I'm going to make sure I have more profit, you know, more time for my family. This is the life I want. Okay, great. We're clear. So once we have that, you want to find somebody who's already done that, who is who you want to be. You know what I mean? So you know, Kobe and all these guys have great mentors. Him and Michael Jordan were great friends, for example. So, you know, why would Kobe try to reinvent the wheel? He just needed to go simply say, hey, Michael, tell me everything you learn, man, because I don't want to make the same mistakes. Okay, like just please tell me. I will do anything. That's what an intelligent person does. A cocky person or an egotistical person says like, what do they know that I don't?
Yeah.
Right. What do they know that I don't? I'm just further behind the timeline. I'll get there. Okay, sure. Twice as long, 10 times as long, triple the mistakes, and
making the same
stress, quadruple the stress. And I did that. So now I'm much, much smarter, man. I mean, now I'm all ears. So like I said, we got a bunch of solutions to problems, but I'm always looking for making those better. I'm listening to anybody who has tried and tested something that maybe we haven't, so I can put that in, optimize something and make it a little bit better. So when I got clear on, hey, my whole goal is to be a better husband and father, a better business owner, better at IV sedation, implant dentistry, fitter and healthier and more energetic. When I knew that was going to be the identity, that everything I heard, everything I saw was related to that. So having a mentor functions doing two principal things. One is they're further along the timeline, so they're going to help collapse timelines for you, right? Like now I bring a dentist on, and we have a dentist that's 2 years out who's producing what I was doing in, my 5th or my 6th year, because they don't have to go through the same learning curve. Yeah. 2.5 years later, they're already producing what it took me 5 years to do. That timeline got cut in half. So things like this are certainly possible. And what the best thing to do is to call somebody up who's already done what you've done and say, hey, this is what I plan on doing. What are the mistakes that I should avoid? What are the pitfalls? Where are the blind spots? Tell me how to save time and money in this process. So time is the first one. The second part is they're going to reduce your overall stress and anxiety. Okay. Because what mentors are really good at is helping you with emotional and psychological support. Like, don't worry, you're going to end up getting this done. Just stick with the process. And simply by telling you, if they're honest with you, they'll say, when I first did it, all these things happened to me. Like I messed it up. I was like curled up in the fetal position when I first tried X, Y, or Z, and whatever that may be. And if you can share those experiences humbly and be vulnerable with the people you're working with, well, that truth, like just be honest, and people all will win there. So if you have a mentor who's doing that for you, I mean, to me, I would pay them 10% of everything I earned for my lifetime, to do that. So
that's so valuable, because that's the thing. As dentists, sometimes we figure out, like, man, I'm going to figure out myself. I'm going to go ask everybody on social media, right, and get some information. And the thing is I will tell you guys this. And I got in a position where I actually able to meet a lot of people, talk to people like Justin. And there's a lot of people out there who they might say they're killing it. In fact, they might post some stuff on social media, but you have to ask yourself, are they really, right? Are they really? The thing with Justin here, I'm just going to say, he's not going to admit it, but I'm going to talk for him. The thing with Justin is you can look at his clients. Do you want to talk about track record? First of all, the guy said that he's going to show you his P&L. That's the boldest thing I've ever heard, but that's awesome. Okay. But the thing is that you can talk to his clients, talk to any coach you want to hire, right? Any coach, consultant, there's some good ones out there. Talk to their clients, ask their clients.
Yeah.
Did they grow their practice? No. Don't ask them. Hey, how is he? Oh yeah, he's a nice guy. Oh, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
But if you're hiring a consultant to grow your practice, you need to ask those clients, hey, what's the percentage growth? What happened? Okay. If you want to ask someone for a nice guy, I know a bunch of nice people. Let me introduce you and save you $30,000 a year or whatnot. Okay. So that's the thing. Track record. And you know what? Justin has a track record. You can ask him. You can ask Paul Etchinson, okay, who's his partner, which we're going to go into the next question with this new project that's going to help so many dentists out. So let's talk about that. I had Paul on not too long ago, and I was like, man, I got to bring Justin on. So talk about this new project. You just briefly mentioned it, what it's all about, why you created it, and what's the goal? What's the goal behind it for you guys?
Okay, so dentalbusinessmentor.com, basically it's filling that gap between, clinical doc and now business owner. So, we're all dentists. We want to do good quality dentistry. We're not teaching you about that. There's plenty of guys out there, Frank Spear and, all kinds of guys who can teach you how to do great dentistry. That part you can accomplish. But now that you know how to do good dentistry, painless and profound anesthesia, produce durable results and things like this for patients, well, how do you actually get them to do that? And how do you actually not only get them to do that, but also, develop a team managed practice? How do you improve your leadership and everything else that's related to developing a great business? What performance indicators should you be looking at? Now, why I developed this was actually, so as you know, I have multiple practices, right? One of our greatest challenges is having to repeat. Like I was at a point where I was like, I can't train another dentist. Like, I just can't do it. My head is going to explode. Okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So I was like, let me just get in front of a camera and just record all this. Well, now when a dentist asks me a question about, how do I convert, more Invisalign cases, I say, go watch the module on increasing Invisalign case conversion. And then we'll talk, because now they have that. So I've saved a bunch of time. So now I can train that doc, have them watch it, and then go through and now practice, right? So if I'm talking to one of my associate docs, I'm going to say, well, they say, Justin, how do I do that? I said, well, have you watched the module? Okay, we'll start there. Secondly, now that you've watched the module, have you gone and implemented what you learned in that module with patients? Okay. And what we do then is we have the kind of follow up with them on that stuff. Now I'm finding I don't talk to a lot of people anymore. Like I have a lot fewer conversations, but that's not just for docs. That's for our team members too. So, phone skills training, for example, is an important one. Or how to create a great patient experience, for example. So what I'm doing is it started with let's get the bulk of this training on there so that we can train our teams. And then I started planning this in my mind. I was at a conference and I saw Paul Etchison at the conference. I had met him the year before. We had one too many drinks together, and then basically hit it off. And then I saw him the following year. Like literally, we'd had zero contact for years. For the whole year. Came back, he was at the conference. I told him what I was up to. He's like, I was thinking about doing something similar. So I'm like, you know what? Paul's smart. He's got a great practice. That his results don't lie. And he's the right guy to do this because he's been so successful. And, like I said, he's in the trenches. He's not some armchair dentist. I said, okay, let's do this together. I love forming relationships because it's more fun doing stuff with folks than it is on your own. So together we've been adding videos, and now what it's evolved into is we're actually offering it as a platform to third parties, like to dental practice owners. It's there, the work's been done. So we just put it all on Kajabi and said, all right, we'll charge for an annual membership for all the sweat equity, and people can have this at a low price. So, that's where that came from. And what we're doing with it now is we're starting to add things to it that are benefiting my practices, which then in turn will benefit others. For example, I have my assistant and my executive assistant, as well as one of our regional managers, writing down. So anytime her and I have a conversation, or one of my managers and I have a conversation, they bring up a problem, I say, write the problem down. So now I want a list of problems. I want to compare it to my master list and say, oh, here's some commonly asked questions, and then just shoot a video on it.
Yeah.
So now if I have a team member or another dentist or whoever asks me, I say, go watch the video. Here's the answer. Right. So that's where that came from. And it's been so powerful. And, all of our docs, our teams, as well as third parties who have been using the platform have been really excited about it. So that obviously gets us, obviously pretty pumped up and excited too, because we know that all this intellectual property we've downloaded and learned over the years and have now, giving to other folks, it's impacting them. It's having a positive impact on their practices. So,
what's so amazing about it, and what I told Paul and I told you too, it's all about, I'm a big my goal with anything I do is I try to make things better. I try to find a different way to do things. I try to change the way things are done. And I told Paul this, and I told you this too, that when you're created this, you're literally changing the way things are done. Because think about it. Think about how many times when you're in your practice and you wish you could just click the little link that's for the FAQ, right? Frequently asked questions, right? Think about it. You get a new platform, you get a new software, you get a new, new tech toy or something like that. Then you go click on the FAQ. You're just like, oh man, I wonder if they have the answer there, right? Yeah. And literally what you guys created is an FAQ for dental practice owners.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
You can do it by yourself, right, Justin? Let's talk about that again. Look, you can do it by yourself. You can go on social media. You can go on Dental Town. You can go on these things. You can ask a million people, get a million different answers, maybe some answers from people who probably know less than you. You don't know, right? And maybe you can get the answer or maybe you don't. Or you can work with two people who've already done it before, who have a track record. And literally, you click that, watch the videos, and you're good to go from the comfort of your own home. That's what I love about that.
Yeah, 100%. And so people who have their team members watching this, for example, one of the most the challenging things is closing down the office, loss of revenue, having to travel somewhere and take the team, and there's expenses associated with that, only to show up at some practice management seminar that's basically trying to sell you something on the back end, right? And it's like, okay, like, why am I here? So, obviously you can see I've done that a few times, right? It wasn't too happy with
me too.
So what this is just an easy way to be respectful of people's time, because you can pause and stop us anytime you like. Yeah. And shut us down if you don't like what we're saying.
Or click on a different lesson, right?
Yeah. And if you're anything like me, you hear something once, but then you want to pause, kind of think about it, make some notes, go back. That's how I like to learn. I'm not, as bright as half of the folks out there. So it takes me more time. Everyone listens to stuff in 2 times. I listen to it at 0.5 times. But so look, DBM gives you this opportunity to do that. And what we've done is we've obviously built in some stuff there, Paul and I, to make it easy for people. When you go to the website, dentalbusinessmentor.com, you'll see there, it's transparent what's on there, what's listed. We give you a transparent fee. There's no hidden costs. And we also give you a 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. If you don't like what you see, just return it. I mean,
that's a good deal right there.
So like, what we didn't want people being like, you know what, if I buy this and I don't like it, then what? And I don't like, anyone with any buyer's remorse. But the reality is no one's returned it. Not a single person to date. So, that speaks for itself. And the other side of it, Glenn, is that this gives an opportunity for folks to actually submit to us things that they'd like to see more of. So if you're an annual member, you just send an email to info@dentalbusinessmentor.com and say, hey, Paul, Justin, this is going on in my practice. I'd really like to understand this aspect better. Do you have a solution for this problem? And then what we'll do is, if there's a few other folks that want that as well, we will then produce another module on it. So it's got that added benefit as well, which is
it's something that's ever changing. That's continually evolving. That's what I love about it. It's not something that you sign up for. You watch all the videos and you're like, okay, there's you guys are constantly updating things.
Yeah, exactly. So we're constantly updating stuff because as people go through, there's going to be things that like once you've kind of learned entry level, you need to start layering up, right? Mm-hmm. And leveling up. I mean, so first of all, if you watched everything on the entire module, you don't want to implement it all at one time. You want to like step by step, continue to do, maybe 2 or 3 things a quarter. And by the end of the year, you're way further ahead and then level up as you go along. And, if anybody ever has questions about that, they just ask Paul and I where they should start and we'd be happy to help. But so the other side of it is, when you're adding stuff going along, it's a selfish intent because it's for my practices and my team. So, I add these things because I know this is what they need to grow. And I know if I add it, my team's going to benefit. So
but if you look at it a different way, you're actually implementing this stuff. This is not just some
100%.
Theoretical BS that you're just saying, hey, let's do it. And it is not even working, right? No, you're actually using this yourself.
Yeah.
Paul is using it himself.
Right. So our team has a schedule we've designed. So each department has to watch certain videos 2-3 times a year, depends on the video and that depends on the module and all this type of stuff. So our managers and our regional managers make sure that people go through and do it. So they're paid to do this. Like, we don't expect them to do this at home. So it has to be worthwhile material. I'm not only using it to teach my team members, we're paying them to watch it. So that, that's important to understand, obviously, right?
I love that. Now we have a question here, and this doc's asking, what's the website to that again?
Okay, that's dentalbusinessmentor.com. Dentalbusinessmentor.com. hyperformancepractice.com.
Now we're gonna get into another thing here, but before I do that, I'm gonna put you on the spot, man. So actually, I'm gonna put everyone else on the spot. Like, guys, if y'all want a nifty deal for the dental business part, the dental business platform here, okay? Type in the comment section high performance. I'm not gonna even ask them until I see more. High performance. If you want a deal on this platform here, high performance. But you know what? While I'm waiting for people to reply there, I'm gonna hold up something here. Woo! Look at this, man. Hold on, let me hold this up, guys. High Performance Practice, Management, Marketing, and Leadership by Justin Bhullar. And let me get a little closer because this is what caught my eye. If you look at that testimonial right there, it says Kevin Harrington, original shark from Shark Tank. That's so awesome. So anyways, I've been reading through this book, man. Thank you so much again, Justin, for sending it, man. And man, it's so much great information in there. So this book here, okay. Look, guys, you can harass him and ask him for a book. Dude, he's busy, okay. I worked hard to get this book, okay. So, anyways, for those who are interested in this, where can they get this book?
So we're going to be doing an official book launch in about a month. It is on Amazon now. We'll be doing the marketing side to get that out to more folks. If you bought it on Amazon, this is not a get rich quick scheme. Anyone who's wrote a book knows that. I've spent more money on the book than I'll ever get in return. But at the end of the day, what I'm doing is I'm matching payments. So anytime a book is sold, I personally write a check, and that's all going 100% being donated. Like we're not trying to keep this to grow my bank account in any way, shape, or form. If it can go out and help more people, great. And then we take whatever you've earned. But for this next month before the launch starts on my website, we're doing a pre-launch, and you can get this for just shipping and handling. So like it's our gift.
What?
So yeah, 100%. So it'll be a limited quantity. It'll be like the first, X number of people that my team set up. But if you go to highperformancepractice.com, you'll see the book there, and you just put in some information, pay the $8.95 shipping and handling, and then it'll be delivered to you. So that's an option for you as well. And the other thing to keep in mind is on highperformancepractice.com. I've got some free gifts that I've put together there. So, anytime everyone hears the word free, they're like, what's in it? What's in it for you? Well, you're going to, when you get the book for $8.95, which is totally complimentary, or you sign up for the free gifts and you opt into that, you're going to get information from me, but it's not spamming you in any way. You unsubscribe anytime you want. I don't care. Keep the book. But I think if you actually look at the information you get, it's going to be valuable to you. And it's at no charge. We spent about a month creating all that stuff so that it's not just useless, garbage coming your way. It's actually effective. Guys,
I'm going to tell you all this right now, and I'm still kind of reading it through. My goal is actually to finish it by this weekend. I'm going to an event. I'll be on a plane for a bit, and I'll have time to read the rest. But I'll tell you right now, just pay for shipping it. I mean, guys, this is a hardcover book, man.
Yeah,
okay? and look, I was reading it. So much information. I mean, easily one of my favorite dental books already. And all you got to do is pay for shipping and handling. That is a steal of a deal. That's a nifty, thrifty deal right there.
So that's all your guys is right there. So that's
again, Justin, how do they get this book again?
So if you go to highperformancepractice.com, that'll be my website. You just scroll down, and on that page, it'll be right there in front of you. There's just an opt-in. It'll ask you for a little bit of information. You pay for the shipping and handling, and we'll get it out to you. My team will usually send it out within 48 hours of receiving that request.
Well, I mean, I think hold on, I should just call this the nifty deal, because it literally is. Let me go ahead and put that there. Nifty deal alert is basically, look, you go to the website. We'll put it in the comment section. Just pay for the shipping and handling. You get this awesome book. And I'm telling you guys right now, I haven't even finished it, but just the little amount I've read, it's easily one of my favorite books there. And it's a steal of a deal, man. Steal of a deal. And there's also other free gifts as well on that website. You just said that.
Yeah, 100%. So check those out. I mean, we try to make gifts generic enough that they'll, at least one or two of them will benefit somebody. One of the ones that people have been finding quite valuable is the morning huddle motivator or checklist, which is just the process we use to make sure our morning huddles are super effective, and that ultimately they end up leading to a lower stress, better flowing day that's more productive. So that's exactly what I use in my practices every day. Our office managers use that for the morning huddles, and it's a game changer. Anybody who starts implementing the stuff up on there starts to see revenue increase if you're using it effectively. The other one is the 3 critical areas that you need to look at are for patient reactivation, to minimize loss of patients and things of that nature. So it goes into what we do to make sure that we're minimizing people coming in and then walking out the back door. So those are on there, and then there's some other stuff. So check it out if you're interested, and if it doesn't look appealing to you, don't fill out your information.
Well, I'll tell you guys right now, you guys would be fools if you don't get the book. That's number one. And I'll even say it myself. So look, okay, you got the book, you got the freebies there, and hey, someone, hold up, let's hold this up here. Someone literally says, "Sweet, I just ordered my free book." Well, hey, you are a smart person,
smart man or woman or whoever here,
whoever put that down there, and you're gonna be even smarter when you check out the Dental Business Mentor. Like I said, we're gonna put that in the comment section. Hey, if you listen to Justin here and you're like, okay, I don't know if Dental Business Mentor is for me. You know what? We had Paul Etchinson on not too long ago. Listen to his too, okay? While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to my podcast when you listen to that episode there. So many awesome things, man. So look, I wanted to share something about what we talked about, and we I know you're really busy here. We're about to wrap this up, but I feel like we gotta veer away from dentistry for a second. Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin, let's do that, okay? And we talked about something, man, I'm still thinking about today. And that is, we were talking about how can we become better men in our family, right? Better husband, right? Better father, better son, all these things, be healthy, all these things. We were talking about it. And then you literally just like blew my mind by saying this. And yet I was thinking, God, it makes so much sense. You were saying, we are so focused in our practices. We have scorecards. We're measuring different things, new patients, collections, production, right? How many crowns we did, how many implants we did. We're measuring all these things so that we can get this successful practice. And then you said something to me and I was like, what? You're like, well, Glenn, we should be doing that in our personal lives, right? Isn't the goal to get better every day? And it literally, I was like, what did you just say? And then I thought about it. I was like, for a little bit, I was thinking, I felt kind of bad. I was like, dude, I should be doing that. Why am I'm putting all this effort in my practice, measuring all these things. And most of us who are watching, we say our family is the most important thing. Why aren't we, you said it yourself, why aren't you measuring? So talk about that, man. So I want to share that because that was just mind blowing. And guys, I want y'all to really pay attention to this because something that Justin hasn't figured out, this thing figured out. So Justin, talk about that, man.
Well, look, I appreciate Glenn's confidence in me in terms of saying, I got this figured out. I mean, I would say I'm a constant work in progress, but the reality is, how do I really know how I'm doing in any one area? For me, things need to be black and white. It's either working or it's not, and I need to know that. So one of the easiest and most effective ways to do that is to measure. And we can't measure everything in our life, not only because sometimes it's not possible. How do you rate yourself on 1 to 10 in terms of how much you love your children? You know what I mean? Like, you're willing to die for them. So, that's off the charts. The love is there. But ultimately, things like, let's say for us, so we break it down into the F words, I call them. Okay. So there are 5 or 6 F words. I call this the fulfillment equation, or closing the fulfillment gap in our life. And what we look at is, we look at the first one is family. So what does family mean? You got to define that for yourself, right? So for me, family means creating beautiful memories together, laughing often, it's in the total hours of time spent with them, in an evening. So that could be their bedtime routine, story time, dinner time, whatever that may be. It might be showing up at their activities consistently. So you start to list these parameters, like what does family encompass? You got a list of 5 or 10 things, let's say. Well, if I'm saying showing up at my son's tennis lessons, making sure my daughter's at gymnastics and watching and being there present, phone away, not texting, so that I miss that look when they look over their shoulder when they did something they're proud of and you're freaking texting on your phone, because I've done that, right? And they're like, they're probably thinking like, why are you here? And so I think it's important to measure those things by simply being acutely aware of them and then writing down where you're winning and where you're losing. Like, was I present at the games? Did I express love for them today? Did we laugh together? What's one beautiful memory we created today? These sorts of things are important, because what we'll do otherwise is we'll get to the end of a week or the end of the month, and because we didn't have those things in our face or on the forefront of our mind, all we did is basically run around doing errands with them, rush in and out. Maybe we all had dinner together. Maybe we got a little bit of conversation in sideways where they got a chance to say something to me while my wife and I were talking over them. But was it really quality time with the family? Like, did this day go, and was it, did we perform this day in such a way that we can be proud of it and truly say, hey, that's what family stands for? And so defining that is important. And we do that in all those areas. So family, mental and physical fitness, okay, finances, freedom. Okay, so freedom is being with people, doing work, and in places that bring you joy. Okay, fun, and then friends. So those are the areas that we look at, and we define what that would look like, and we try to write that down and measure it and do what you can there. So, if I didn't do it this way, some people are thinking like, I don't need to do that. I'm fine. I'm happy. Great, man. You've cracked the code. You've hacked it. You're the one human being that doesn't have any pain or suffering in their life. And you're probably also, massively full of it. So, those are the people I walk away from. The people I'm drawn to are the people who are honestly telling me like, hey, I'm winning here and I'm losing here. And when I say, how do you know? They say, because I write it down. Like, I know where I'm winning and where I'm losing. This isn't subjective, emotional. This is logical, objective information. So that's kind of where that comes from.
And I love that, man. And it's just, it's something that we all need to think about, because we're measuring the fulfillment equation. I love it, man, because we're measuring everything else, right? We're measuring our bank accounts, right? We're like, okay, I made this amount. I'm doing good there. But it's like, when it comes to like, okay, am I really present in my kids' lives, right? Like when you talked about that, it made a lot of sense, right? Okay, yeah, you can say, I'm in all my kids' stuff. Okay, well, is the goal to get better, right? So let's say that, right now I go to, 80% of my daughter's swim practices. Well, if I am true to myself and say that I really want to get better every day, like just overall, then my goal shouldn't be 80% every year. No, it should go up every year, right? And the only way you can be honest is to actually track it, right? Because I made a joke and we both laughed about it, but man, the biggest liar and the biggest critic and the biggest enabler is looking back at you each time you look in the mirror.
100%. Yeah, you're BSing yourself most of the time, and I think when you can call yourself out, the easiest way to call yourself out is with objective data. You know what I mean? If I leave it up to my memory to say, how did last week go? Was I a great father or husband? I'm going to say, well, heck yeah, I was pretty good. So it's got to be defined. And, people will say, well, that's just so robotic and, whatever. And I'm not even a data analytics math guy. Like, I hate all that stuff. Yeah. But the net benefit is so big. Okay. So I'll give you one simple thing. Every day, forming a habit before you go to bed to write down 5 wins for the day. 5 wins. It doesn't even have to be broken down into all these categories. Just like I spent an hour with the kids one-on-one and we just had like a great time playing some board game. I crossed off everything off my to-do list. I converted this patient and did X, Y, and Z treatment on them successfully. Whatever that is, 5 wins. Okay. Now at the end of a month, 5 times 30, I don't know the math. It's over, probably, a little over 100 something, right? So you got 100 something wins that now you can read on a Sunday, and look at your month and just say, wow, like this is what I have accomplished. This is what I have to feel good about. Maybe read it maybe do it every week. Like I read it on a Friday before I go into my weekend, because when I go into my weekend, I don't want to be thinking, I want to minimize the amount I'm thinking about work and how much I'm taking away from the kids. So I'll try to read all the wins. I'll do a longer gratitude on a Friday, and just simply so that I can say, hey man, if you're deviating and you're thinking about it, remember you did a lot, you accomplished a lot. So I think that's important. Just write down the 5 wins. And on the High Performance Practice website, we have a productivity planner and goal setting tool that we have that I think would be effective for anybody who's interested in that. So
I love it.
Glenn, someone just asked what the name of the book is here. So the name of the book is High Performance Practice. High Performance Practice, Management, Marketing, and Leadership. And so that's there. And then and the other thing, Glenn, I'm not sure what you guys would like to do there, but I know Paul, when he went on DBM or dentalbusinessmentor.com, we have for you guys exclusively a $350 discount for anybody that
Justin, you're over delivering. You're even one upping Paul right there, man.
Man. So we're going to keep that consistent. Okay. So that's something that,
guys, someone already got it. And first of all, Justin, I want to thank you, man, for jumping on. And actually, I want to also thank you for sharing that fulfillment equation with everyone here in Nifty, because that's so powerful. And you know what, guys? I mean, if you just track a little bit of something in your life, right? You're going to find it more rewarding. You're going to find that because you know what? Our biggest thing too is we're our biggest critic, right? Like Dennis, I mean, we beat each other up. We just say, man, we're doing terrible. We're suck. And we're comparing ourselves to other people. And when you write those wins down, man, that is so huge, because then you go into the weekend saying, you know what? I'm actually doing okay.
Yeah.
You know, and that does so much, because when you're right up here, right? When you're right up here, man, you're going to be good for your family, man. So Justin, thank you so much, man, for dropping all those things. And before we jump off, I want to put one thing on here, then I'll let you have the last words. But I had someone here, and he says, be the dumbest guy in the room. Love that from your book. Love that from your book. That's one of the docs there who read your book and loved that quote. So Justin, before we jump off, man, I'm gonna let you have the last word, man. So what's the one message you want to? I mean, you dropped so many messages, but one quick message you want to give to everyone who's been watching, who's stayed on to the whole live stream.
Well, I think it's, life is really short. So I see that more and more, and I think the thing that's made that most clear to me is not necessarily even my parents aging, not necessarily even myself aging. It's actually watching a year go by for the kids every year, and realizing that, soon they'll be out of our grasps. There will be no more opportunity to be with them in the same capacity we are now, and have the level of influence we have or impact we can have on them while their minds and things are growing. So I say that even for folks that don't have kids, simply because I think it's important to understand that the clock's always ticking, okay? And for a lot of us, that can create anxiety, like, oh, I got to get things done and go. But, if you're really clear about like the games that you want to win at here, okay? And for me, it's those F words that we talked about, right? So those are the games I want to win at. That's what I want to continue to progress. And I'm not talking about being the best in the world. Forget about all that. Like, stop trying to be the best dentist or the best practice owner. Just be better than you were yesterday. Really simple. 1% every day. Take the stress out of it. Stop looking so far ahead and just think about what's the next best move. Also, once you're clear on what you want, and you know what you're working towards, there's such a level of, with that clarity, there's so much peace that comes with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, what your purpose is day in, day out. My purpose is simple. People say, what's your passion? Progress, man. Simple as that. Like, not like leaps and bounds stuff. And before I got on here, my son Arjun said, hey, Dad, you're doing a video with someone, because he saw me setting all this up. He said, make sure you tell them this. There's something that you can use. This kid's 6, okay? But just a smart dude. He said, tell them that they don't have to think about big things all the time and do really big things to feel good about themselves. Like, these are his words. And he says, all they have to do is just do something small every day. Just one small thing, like brush their teeth. make their bed. These are the things we talked to him about, obviously. And then their confidence will improve. And that could not be more true. Like, small daily improvements lead to exceptional results over time. So
I love it. You know what? That little guy has got some good teachers, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Our whole goal is to produce kids that will ask for help and perhaps go to therapy. That's about it. That's the goal.
Well, Justin, thank you so much, man. I can't even say anything else to that, man. But guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll put that in the comments section. We'll put it in the show notes as well. Sure. Don't forget to get that book, man. Like I said, it's awesome stuff, man. So, Justin, thank you so much for jumping on, man. I appreciate it.
Care.
See you guys later.
See you guys later. You bet.